everyone, it's Keira and welcome back to my channel. So we have now had the news that George Russell will be driving for Mercedes in 2022. But I thought that I would sit down and take a look at the pros and cons to this situation that Mercedes has, because I know that in the community there are a lot of people that really are against this, and there's also a lot of people that are really for this. And obviously in the past couple of years, as this has been speculating that he's going to join Mercedes, there's been a few mixed reviews. So I thought we would sit down, take a look at the pros and cons, what Mercedes' situation is, and just get into the new lineup for 2022. So before I get into the video, if you do enjoy it, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe to my channel down below. But I just think we should get into this. Okay, so firstly, I think we need to sit back and actually look at George's career path and his plan. He won pretty much everything coming up in the junior ranks. Probably the ones that you'll know the most is GP3 and then F2, and then he made his step up into Formula 1 the next year with his fellow compatriots in Lando Norris and Alexander Albon. So straight away he was a young talent, and Mercedes signed him and brought him all the way up. And I think that's something that we need to look at going into Mercedes. Is Mercedes obviously haven't been back in Formula 1 for that long if you look at the comparison of other teams, but the junior program that they have, they really pick a selection of people, and every person that they've had so far, they have brought them up into Formula 1. Think of Esteban Ocon, Pascal Wehrlein, George Russell. Indeed, they have brought them all up into Formula 1, but I think even looking at it, their brightest talent is George Russell, so why would they not bring him all the way, especially with his junior record, which is astounding. And to me, I don't know if probably because I maybe followed George's career a little bit closer than other people, it was always the objective that he was going to go into that Williams for 2 to 3 years before he stepped up to the main team. So not a lot of people were like, there's no chance he's not going to get there. Maybe Esteban Ocon is going to get there. I think from word go, it was very obvious that it was his plan. I personally thought 3 years was a little bit too long, but he's done 3 years now and he is at Mercedes. But honestly, how is this dynamic going to change the Mercedes team? We know that Valtteri and Lewis have worked very well with each other for the past like 5 or 6 years now, and we know that it's been very good for Mercedes, and that's how they've maintained their dominance whilst other teams have fallen behind with their issues like Ferrari's internal structure, Red Bull's second driver. There's been a lot of other teams that haven't quite been able to step up like Mercedes, purely because of the fact that they don't have that stability. And could we see a dynamic change where we go back to a Lewis and Nico incident where we had 2014, 15, 16, you know, that kind of peak era of fighting, that they turned from besties to literal hatred? And, you know, could we get that same situation again? We don't know how these pair are going to react with each other. And that was something that people thought that Lewis Hamilton definitely didn't want to happen. Well, we know Lewis doesn't want that to happen, obviously, but a lot of people were speculating that before Lewis signed this 2-year deal, he was asking for Valtteri to be his teammate. He wanted that in his clause. Valtteri Bottas will be my teammate, but obviously that has not happened, and he signed his contract anyway, so obviously he knows that this is going to happen. This is inevitably going to happen. Lewis is first and foremost their main priority. So is that a situation there where we think, oh, maybe, you know, they might have another instance where Lewis and Nico got on so badly? Is George and Lewis going to turn this way as well? And that's something that I think Mercedes kind of need to look at. But honestly, I don't think that's personally going to happen. I think that they really needed to look at this teammate situation, and I think that as much as Valtteri and Lewis have a lot of respect for each other and they got on very well, I think it got to the point where Mercedes need to put themselves first. And I don't ever think George Russell is going to be a driver who is going to disrespect or play up or do anything like that. I really don't think he's like that. And also Lewis isn't like that either. He had the difficulties with Nico, but I think Lewis has matured since then, and George just isn't that type of driver, so I really just don't think they're going to have that issue whatsoever. And I think another thing Mercedes needed to look at was the fact that Red Bull are resurging massively. The resurgence that Red Bull are on right now is crazy, and I know we've got new regs next year, but I don't think Mercedes can afford to have this situation where Valtteri is on the back foot when Sergio Perez is bringing himself up and up and up, and this Red Bull car is currently faster than this Mercedes. I don't think there's any possibility that Mercedes could sit there and think, oh, you know, we'll be fine with this lineup, because they know what they're going to get out of Lewis Hamilton, and they also know what they're going to get out of Valtteri Bottas. And looking at it right now, I can tell you they would not win a Constructors' Championship when you've got Red Bull coming up like this. So I think as well they needed to think about themselves in terms of the team, and they needed to kind of look at the situation and think, we need a second driver that's going to be fighting up there with Lewis, because I can easily see George and Lewis battling out, and you know, one week there he's getting a win, the other week he's getting a win. I can completely see this happening. Don't think Mercedes are going to fall away in the first year of the regs anyway. Even if they do, it will take a couple of, you know, years to get through. I think that George Russell is going to be that one that's going to get them wins for Mercedes. Valtteri Bottas hasn't had one this year yet. You know, Mercedes needs somebody that is going to be up there, and I can see this happening with George Russell over Valtteri Bottas. And from my perspective, I think Valtteri has had his chance. You know, in the first couple of years, like 17, 18, even 19, maybe not 19, maybe, you know, 17, 18, I was like, give Valtteri a chance. Like, he deserves this, give him some more time. But at this stage now, where it's been like 5 years, I just think there's no more time that Mercedes can give you, and there's no more time that I want to see you fighting in that car. So I think it's George Russell's time now, and I think Mercedes would be looking at this situation and they would have let down a junior driver if they were to just leave him in that Williams. So I think that they're the kind of pros and cons. You know, I think the worrying main thing is obviously if you do get a situation where it starts to get uncomfortable because George wants to be that leader. You know, they know what they're getting with Valtteri and Lewis, as I've said, but I think the pros really outweigh these cons. You know, I think we're going to see such excellence from both of those drivers. They are both obviously one's a world champion and one is a world champion in the making. So I think overall that's a very strong lineup for Mercedes. I don't think that there's going to be an issue there. I think it's going to be a very good lineup. And yeah, I just think it's going to be good. I think George Russell definitely deserves to now be out of a car which is uncompetitive. I think he's been in that Williams for too long. Personally, I think the 3 years that Toto put him in there for was a little bit too long. But again, he wanted to be faithful to Valtteri Bottas and he wanted to see whether Valtteri could step up. But unfortunately, he couldn't, and he is no longer in that Mercedes seat. But for next year, I think this is going to be a very, very strong lineup for Mercedes, and I'm really excited to see how it goes. So there we have it. That is it for today's video, and those are kind of the pros and cons in the situation that Mercedes have found themselves in when signing George Russell for 2022. Personally, for me, I think it's a great choice. Obviously, you do run the risk, as I said, of having another situation like Lewis and Nico, but I think the pros really outweigh that, and I think it's going to be a really exciting years to come with both of them drivers in that car. So I just am so excited for their futures together. I can't wait for next year. I hope we get some sort of like crossover merch of like 44 and 63, because I will definitely buy it. I'm really excited for it. I just think that the fight is on now and I can't wait for it. So let me know your opinions of this new George Russell signing for Mercedes in the comment section below. Let me know if you think it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm openly sitting here and saying I am a Lewis Hamilton fan and I am a George Russell fan. So for me, this mix is great. I'm really excited. But again, if you are a fan of them, if you aren't a fan of them, just let me know your opinions. I'm really excited to hear all about this because it is a big topic right now, a big topic. But yeah, all I want to say is thank you so much for watching my video. If you do enjoy this video and want to see more from my channel, please do hit that subscribe button. We will be posting every single week, so do not miss out on that. But yeah, I think that is everything, and I will see you again soon for another video. Bye!